Hello everyone, in today's episode we are going to look at how to make a turret that will track down the player and fire at them. So to start off, here we are in the content project where we left off with the asteroids. And the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to open up our blueprints folder in our AI, and we're going to make a new folder here called turrets. Inside that we're going to need a new blueprint of type actor, and we'll just call this BP_base turret. After that, what we're going to do is open it up. I'll bring it over here. And we're going to need a few variables. To start off, we're going to start with an actor variable, and we're going to call this the target. And then we'll go into the event graph. We will remove begin overlap and tick. We're going to use tick eventually, but we're not going to need it right now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the target to be the player character. So we're going to get player character. You can do get player pawn as well. Both of these will work. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set timer by event. And then here we're going to make a new event, custom event. We're going to call this check distance. And we're going to set the time to be, we can do 0.2, 0.5, whatever you want. And we'll set this to be looping. So what this is going to do, just to give you a quick overview, there's going to be a check distance. Since we're going to be using event tick, we're going to want to gate it off a little bit and make sure that we're only ticking through all the fancy stuff when we need to. Like if the player is all the way across the map, we're not going to need to have this turret constantly rotating towards it and slowing the game down. So that's why we can set this 2.5. So the only thing that this is going to do is just check the distance, and then we're going to have a second timer over here that will actually let it fire, and that will also tie into this one, or it'll tie into tick as well. But for this, all we're going to do is we're going to make a new variable here, and it's going to be of type boolean, and this is going to be called can move, and we'll put a question mark after it, and all we're going to do is we're going to set this. And the value for this, we're going to get our target, and we're going to get distance to, and then the other actor can just be self, and then we're going to check if this is less than. So, and we'll plug this up here. And then we're going to promote this to a variable, and we're going to call this the movement activation range. And just to give this a variable for now, we're going to set this to 5,000. Depending on your game and how things are set up, you're probably going to want to change this so it aligns with your world. If you have like this big open world space game, then you might want to set this a little higher. And if it's a very smaller map where you don't want, where the move speeds aren't too fast and stuff like that, and there's not much distance, you might want to set this a little lower. So that is all that we need for this, and just like always, we're going to promote our timer to a variable in case we ever want to clean it up later, and this is just going to be called check distance timer. And next we're going to make a new timer, and this one's going to be called shoot. And then for the time here, we can promote this to a variable, and we can also set this to fire rate. And for now, we'll just leave that at 0.2. And likewise, we're going to promote this to a variable, timer to a variable, and we're going to call this the fire timer. So on the fire event, what we're going to do is we're going to see, can we move? I'll set that to a branch. Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to say and. So if we can move and the target is valid, since we're getting the player pawn, it's not necessarily necessary, but it's good forward thinking. So we're going to say is valid, and we're going to get the one that has the F, not the question mark. The one with the question mark is a node with an exec pin, so we just want to plug this in so we can condense all of this into one branch. And then next what we're going to do is this is going to be a bigger set of nodes right here, but I'll go over exactly what they all are. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get actor location of the target, and we're going to get actor location of ourselves, which would be the turret, and we're going to subtract these from each other. And by doing that we get a vector, which essentially it's a, think of it as like an arrow. So we're going to be drawing an arrow from the turret to the target, and we're going to normalize this. So it has a max value of 1 when you add up all the variables, all the x, y, z together. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to do a dot product, and we'll leave this blank for now, and we'll do that in just a second. And then we're going to check if it's less than, and we'll promote the to variable, and then we're going to say dot product shoot activation, and we'll compile and save this, and we'll set it 2.8 for now. And then we're going to have this as a branch as well. And now we'll get into actually making the other dot product, other part of the dot product. So we're going to go into our viewport here, and we're going to start adding some components. So the first thing we're going to add is a sphere, and this will be the base of the turret. We'll have a little arm that swivels around it, and then we'll have a cube, and we're going to compress this down, bring it down so it looks like the turret has a little pedestal. And then next is the important part. So with the default scene root selected, not sphere or cube, we're going to add a scene component. So they should all be in line with each other. This is very important. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add a cylinder onto the scene component with it selected. We're going to scale it down and rotate it. And you want to make sure it's facing out like that. So the purpose of this is when we have our scene component here, when we rotate it, you can see that the arm swivels around it as well. And if we were to just rotate the cylinder here, you'd see that it would just rotate in place. So by having the scene component before it, it sets its origin point to be in the center of the sphere. So that way when we rotate it, it rotates around that. So I'm just going to reset this rotation really quick. Awesome. And then we're gonna click on our cylinder again. We're gonna add another scene component here, and this will be where the bullets spawn from. So we'll do it like that, and you'll see that it has its X facing down. So what we want to do is, X is the red arrow, so we want to add an arrow component, and we're just going to rotate this in place. So this will also give us, as the developers or artists or whoever else works on this, a visual representation that when the bullets shoot out, that they shoot out this way. And if we look at it, you can see that the red arrow matches up with the other red arrow. So that's what we want. Alright, so now that our turret is all set up, we can get into actually implementing the dot product. So what we're going to do next is we're going to get our arrow, and we're going to get forward vector. And what this is going to do is essentially, since we've normalized this, it's going to compare the forward vector of the arrow drawn to our target to the forward vector of the actual arrow. So if essentially if it's looking at it, then this will be 1, and if it's looking in the exact opposite direction, it'll be -1. And that happened since we normalized it. If we didn't normalize it, it would go up to essentially the same, but multiplied by the distance between these two, since it can be non-normalized. So next, what we're going to need to do is implement the shooting aspect of the actual turret. So we're going to get our arrow again, and we're going to get world transform. We're going to split this up, and we're going to do on true from the branch. So if it's above the shoot activation, we're going to spawn actor from class. And we're going to split our transform here, and we're just going to plug up location and rotation. You'll see since this is a little squish, we do not want the actual world transform of it. This is the scale rather. So we're just going to leave the scale as 1 as the default here. And for the class, we're going to find our bullet. So if we go into projectiles here, we can find the base projectile, plug that in. And the only thing we really need to add here is the ignored actors. We want to make sure that the bullet isn't colliding with the turret. So we're going to make an array here, and we're just going to feed it the value of self. And what we can also do is we can change the material to be a different color, so it'll be red emissive. So if you want, you can promote all these variables and customize them to your like. That was the beauty of making the exposed variables for all the variables on the projectile, is we can have it so the enemies shoot one way and the turret shoot a different way. But just for now, I'm going to leave this as the defaults. Alright, so lastly, we're almost done. All we need to do is we need to actually make the turret rotate towards the player. So what we're going to do is we're going to do on event tick now. We're going to have a little branch, and we can just steal this branch right here. This can move, and if the target is valid, and we're just going to plug that in right here. And then next what we're going to do is we're going to get the scene component here. We'll get the arrow actually, and oh, actually no, we do need the scene, this one, the root of all of the children right here. So we're gonna get world rotation, and we're also gonna get world location, and then we're gonna do a find look at rotation, and then we're gonna get our target, and we're gonna get actor location. And then we're going to do a rinterp to constant. So we're going to take in the current rotation of our scene component here. We're going to find the look at rotation to face towards the target exactly. And then we're just going to need to fill in these other things here. So interp speed, we can promote to a variable, and we can set this to, let's say, 30. And we just need delta time, which is going to be delta seconds from the event tick event. And that should give us a nice, clean, smooth motion towards the player. And we'll clean this up a little. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set world rotation of the scene component. And we'll change the name of this to be rinterp speed. And then lastly, since we have a base, what we do not want to happen is we don't want it to go into the base like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to, if you see here on the scene component, you'll see here the pitch is 0. If we go down, it's -20, -10. So, and then on the other side, it's 180. And if we go further, it's 190. So what we can do is we can clamp that at 0 and 180. If you want to go higher or lower, then you can set these variables that I'm going to show you right now. But all we're going to do is we're going to take the same scene component here, and we're going to get get local rotation. Hold on here, let me find the exact node. Relative rotation. And we're going to split this up. And then we're going to set relative rotation. And we're going to split this one as well. So roll and yaw, we can do the same, but pitch, we're going to do a clamp here. Clamp a float, and min will be 0, and max will be 180. Again, you can do -10, -20, and like 200, up to you. Customize it to your liking. Awesome. And then now we should be able to just drag and drop this in the scene, and this should work. So let me find a good spot for it. Maybe it's just right here. Let me see, where does the player spawn? Player spawns right here. Yeah, we'll go straight to the left, and we'll drop our turret. So now if we go find that turret, you'll see that he's looking at us, he's shooting, and he's rotating towards us. No matter where I go, as long as I'm within his rotation, he's going to rotate. Oh, and one thing we're going to need to do, I think I forgot, is what we want to do is... Oh no, that's on the alert. So we can speed this up if we want. Let's say 50. And he's working great. And you'll see if I go too far away, you see he stopped shooting, and that's part of the dot product. So until he's looking straight at me, he won't shoot. You'll see he's correcting all of his other angles. It's just that yaw that he's trying to catch up with. And if we wait here, and if we go below him, you see he can never shoot us. He can look in our direction and he can get pretty close, but he can't go below that value that we set. Awesome. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. The project files will be on GitHub if anyone needs to see it, and also you can feel free to join my Discord, request a tutorial if you're looking for anything specific, or just say hi and see some of the cool people that we have there. Also, feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.